Welcome back to the Ready Room. I'm your host, Brittany McLean Campbell, and we are just about a month away from the swimming portion of the World Aquatics Championships. And with that, I really wanted to take the next couple weeks to get to know some of the athletes that are on that roster a little bit better. I'm going to be doing the same for the Para Worlds coming up at the end of September. So please, in the comments, let me know on the Paralympic team who you want to hear from and what you're most curious to know about them. I always love your feedback. For today's episode, I'm really excited about my guest because we never overlapped on the national team, so I don't actually know him that well yet. He is an Olympic semifinalist. He's a U Sport and Canadian record holder. He's apparently a bit of a fishing enthusiast. And again, he's on that roster for Worlds this summer. Please welcome Blake Tierney. Blake, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to start with your roots, your Sasky roots. I really was curious. In my prep for this interview, I went through what people from Saskatchewan call themselves, and the best I could find was Saskatchewanian, is it? Do you actually call yourself that, or is there like a Sasky? Is there an insider knowledge you can bring me in on?
I don't know. Whenever I tell people like I'm a Saskatchewanite or something like that, I always think of the movie Grown Ups where he's like, "I'm from Saskatchewan." You know that guy? That lifeguard? Yeah, probably that. But I don't know. Something like that. Saskatchewanite or Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. See, your accent really came out there, which I love. I want to get to the bottom of it, though, because I've only ever known you as a proud Saskatchewanite, as a Saskatoon, from Saskatoon. These are all just going to start blending together. But I know you do have some Ontario roots. So can you break down the timeline of when you lived where?
Yeah, for sure. So I basically was born in Mississauga, and I moved to Burlington probably when I was like 2 or 3. And then I pretty much did like elementary school in Ontario. But then I moved to Saskatchewan in 2016 for high school pretty much. And then, now I'm at BC. So that's the timeline.
Okay, no, that's super helpful because I know we'll get into fishing soon, but I believe that you have a cabin in North Saskatchewan where you do end up. Okay, is that a family cabin or?
Yeah, that's my grandparents' cabin. Yeah.
Okay, so there's like always been roots in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, for sure. Like we always would visit over the summer when I lived in Ontario. So yeah, I've definitely been going to Sask for my whole life.
Okay, so something about fishing and swimmers to me is very intriguing because I am someone that can't sit still. And I feel like it requires a lot of patience to be able to be a strong fisher. So what brings you so much joy? And is it in a sense like a little bit of a reset from the chaos of what you do at the pool?
It's definitely a reset. Like any time off I get, like I literally just go to the cabin and try to fish. But honestly, like when you are fishing and you have the line in the water, it's just like the adrenaline of like the unknown and like potentially pulling in like a huge fish or something like that. That just like really gets me. I don't know. Kind of like a gambler mindset, it's like you might get nothing, but you might get like the grand prize. And also just, hanging out with friends and family. That's always fun too.
Yeah. Can you talk when you're on the boat or is it very like focused, like don't make any noise because the fish are going to get scared?
I mean, depends who you're with. Usually when I'm with the boys, the fellas, we'll be pretty chatty. We'll play some music and every now and then. But if I'm with the Gramps or a couple of the other serious family members, we'll probably stay pretty quiet if we're in the zone,
Is Gramps the best fisher in the family?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think I'm close number 2, but yeah, he's got that lifetime on me. So.
And do you like literally go home and eat the fish that you catch, or is it just about the thrill of the chase and then you just let them go?
No, yeah, we'll keep them. Like we'll keep like the keepers we call them. So it's like a specific size, and then like a specific fish and stuff. But yeah, and like there's a limit you can bring, but yeah, it's good eating too. So
there you go. No, these are the things I'm curious about. So I appreciate that. I always say with everything of the show, it's like if I'm curious about it, my goal is at least one person out there is also curious about it.
Yeah.
One of your other passions I know is golfing, or I believe. Sorry, I don't want to make assumptions.
Yeah.
I reached out to your teammate last night, Finley Knox, and I said, is he any good at golfing? Just to get your friends' opinions. And what do you think Finley said to me?
Probably said horrible, honestly.
So Finn said he's not the best, but he can hit it really well. He said, like, you can hit the ball far. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, when I can hit it straight, I can hit it well. I'm definitely better than Finn, so don't get that confused. But yeah, I don't know. I'm no scratch golfer either. I just go out there and have fun with the boys. So
It really is a social sport, which like people don't always think of it when you're growing up as, but it really is like
yeah,
it gets you outside, you're moving, you can be social. It's not like high adrenaline. Again, a sport that requires patience though. So I see a bit of a theme with you. Do you have like a kind of like golf getaway that's like a dream to get to play golf there?
um, I feel like any PGA Tour course would be pretty cool. I don't really have the bankroll to play those courses right now though, or the time really. But yeah, I don't know. When we were down in where were we, Chula Vista, like San Diego area, we were looking into playing like Pebble Beach. But yeah, we didn't have that money, and they didn't have any open spots, so we didn't play.
The admiration and joy of wanting to be a golfer, and yet the Olympian amateur sport budget is always a bit of
Yeah.
a challenging. But if anyone is out there that owns a golf course that you would love to have a couple Olympians stop by one day, I
Oh,
know a guy.
yeah. Shout them out. Shout them out.
Exactly. That's what we're here to do. I wondered, in terms of other hobbies or things people might be surprised. I promise we're going to get into swimming after this, but I hear you love also to game. Are
Oh yeah.
you a better Fortnite player or swimmer?
Definitely swimmer. Feel like I like to game. Like I'm not any good at it. I'll get clipped every now and then, but yeah, I don't know. I just like again, hanging out with the boys. Um, and it's also a good alternative to like going out and partying instead. So you stay in and just kind of have a quiet night and just chill. But yeah, definitely. We get into some heated game chats with the boys sometimes.
So when you refer to the boys, can you fill us in on who you consider that crew that either you play golf
Oh
with
yeah.
or go head to head with in Fortnite?
Yeah, probably like Cole, you got like Cole Pratt, Finn, Billy Knox, and then Yuri Kissel, Raven Dom, and Justice Mino, just like all the guys at the center here. And then like a couple of the fellows back home too, like Jaden Belaus and Brayden Hemian and Ethan Hemian.
Well, shout out to all that seem to keep you very
Yeah.
grounded when you do need, like you said, you need these outlets in different ways. And I know with golf, I always had shoulder injuries swimming, so I found golf was actually really hard to do while I was still competing. But if it works for you, I feel like that's actually probably great cross training and like a little bit of coordination work.
Honestly, the back hurts every time I go golfing, so don't tell the coaches I go. But um, yeah, definitely during like closer to the competitions and stuff, I'll try to lay off it a bit. But yeah, the ribs get sore for sure.
Well, you mentioned your teammates or the boys, as now I'm only going to
Yep.
refer to them as the boys, the fellas, the boys. You moved to Vancouver almost 5 years ago now, I believe, or maybe just over 5 years ago. I wanted to talk to you
Yeah.
about that transition. What made you choose kind of that as your home base where you wanted to really take the next step in your swimming career?
Yeah, so basically out of high school, I was kind of like a slow guy. Like I wasn't really putting up times and stuff like that. I think I had the dream of going states and stuff. But that wasn't really realistic with kind of how much they charge down there. And then, so I kind of decided like Canada was probably the play. And then basically UBC was like one of the only schools that gave me an offer. And like one of the only schools I visited. And yeah, it worked out pretty good after all said and done, I think. So yeah, happy with that decision. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think it's just a good reminder too that, everyone develops at different ages in their career. And some people go into, high school as the most recruited athlete, and then others make their first Olympics, a couple of years into university. And I was looking at your, one of my favorite parts about researching before this interview was going through your headshots at UBC, and over the years you've had some good ones. I'm going to bring up one in particular. I believe it was this year's headshot, and I would love if you can give me a bit of background as to the motivation behind this pose.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know who the Rizzler is.
I don't, but I'm the worst at pop culture,
Okay.
so I'm sure people
Okay, yeah,
online
yeah.
do.
Okay, so he's basically this little kid, and he's like the legend. He's like he's kind of like the Godfather,
Okay.
and he just kind of goes around doing like kind of that stuff. So basically I was like, you know what, let's have some fun this year at headshots. And I kind of did that face. I asked if I could put the finger in it, but the photographer said no.
Uh,
So
so you
yeah,
just have part of it. Honestly, this is a part of my Gen Z kind of like I need more of the insights from the Gen Z community. So this is great. And so thank you for bringing me into the loop for that story. I appreciate it.
I
But yeah,
got you.
I was going through your headshots and it says technically you've had 5 different years at UBC and yet you're only in your 3rd year of eligibility. Can you give me the
Yeah.
background there?
Yeah. So basically first year was COVID.
Okay.
So there's one. And then last year, Olympic year, I like redshirted or
Red shirt.
whatever.
Okay.
Like I was still in school, but I just didn't choose to do the varsity. Um, so yeah,
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I read that you are in the science, you're studying sciences, I believe, right?
Yeah, engineering, yeah.
Wow. Okay. What
Yeah.
do you want to be a specific engineer or are you kind of just like super open-ended at this point?
So I'm in like biomedical right now.
Wow.
Um, hoping to go into dental school after that, but that's pretty far away still, depending
Yeah.
on how far the swimming career goes. Yeah.
Well, the good news about that is that that career path will always be there. So I'm excited to see, and I'm excited to book my first appointment should you one day be a dentist. I can't wait.
Yeah, I
can't,
got you.
can't wait for that. Kind of in the same line of thought, I always have questions about U Sport and the centers because I was not an athlete that I didn't experience either. So I always have a ton of curiosities between the two. And when you are at UBC, my sister was an example. She competed varsity for UBC and then also swam at the center. I wondered with your crew, especially the boys that you mentioned you train with, are you guys solely kind of training with the center? And then when it comes to varsity season, you race at UBC, or do you ever go back and forth in terms of like practices with both groups?
There'll be a little bit of overlap, but like a handful of times a year, I think. Probably a little more during the summer, just because I feel like some of the UBC guys head home, so there's groups a little smaller. But yeah, mostly we train pretty much just with the center. Like always, really doing Scott and Mandy's workouts. Um, yeah, but then we compete with UBC for like Can West and U Sports.
Yeah, and congrats on U Sports this year. You were all phenomenal. It was great to
Thank you.
watch. I wondered with the teammates you have, like we're talking Cole Pratt, who we'll get to at trials. I know that was probably like a bittersweet moment for you, and I do want to dive deeper into it. But you have Cole Pratt challenging you on the regular. You've got Finley Knox, who overlaps in some of the same events that you do. I wondered, how do you manage the fact that you have some of the best to compete against every day in practice, but also, which is this huge positive, but it can also be a bit challenging. Am I not right there?
Yeah, I think you are. Definitely having like those two guys and like multiple others like Raven, as does backstroke as well. It can definitely sometimes be like, damn, I really got to be on my game for this practice because I know these guys are gonna show up. But at the same time, you know, like I feel like the team you have around you really kind of supports you and they help elevate you. So I'm super grateful that, you know, they're also world-class athletes. Because they help bring my game up and they help hold me accountable as well. Yeah, I think I'd rather have like world class, like Finn's world champion, you know, and we bug him about it all the time, even though it's not anything to bug about, which is why it's funny. But I think yeah, just having like faster people to train with is always a good thing.
It really is, but it takes a lot of, I don't know if courage is the right word, but you do really have to be mental. It builds your mental fitness, I think, if anything, because every day going into practice, it's not just like, I want to do well today. It's like, I'm challenged by some people that can beat me on any given day. And it like almost is like a meet mentality in every practice, but obviously it allows you to be maybe a bit more relaxed when it comes to the meet. And like the lane beside me is Cole and I've got Finn or Reben on the other side. And, I'm familiar with this setting.
Definitely, yeah. Like having, I think Raven on back, Finn on back sometimes, and Cole on back. I really got to be on my game. You know, like pushing 27s is nothing for those guys. So I think like having to step up and really kind of always be mentally prepared, like you were saying, is important. And it also helps prep you for the competitions and stuff.
And speaking of prep for competitions, obviously something's working over there because you did qualify for your first Olympics last summer. I still have memories of the trials, watching your joy when you touched the wall and were able to be named to that team. I wondered, for so many, it's such a lifelong dream and achievement to get to make the Olympics. Did those kind of expectations live up to the reality once you were in Paris?
Definitely. Bro, like when I touched the wall after last year's trials, it was really like kind of like a did I just do that kind of moment. Um, More so in the 200 back, like that Canadian record, I was really surprised with. It was like a 3 second best time for me, and just like I was kind of just blown away by it. And then also going to Paris after, it was just super eye opening as well. Like getting able to see the best in the world compete and how they operate, it really allowed me to kind of move forward and like take what I learned watching them forward, and I think apply it to my training this year. I feel like this year trials it wasn't like the best it could have been for me. I've been dealing with a little bit of niggles here and there, but at the end of the day, we got the job done in 2 out of 3 races. I'm a little sad about that 100 back, like you said, but also super happy for Cole. That slip, yeah. I've been doing like 5 starts every practice to try and get down that slip. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, moving forward, really, really grateful for that Paris experience and that last trials.
Well, I do think like the good thing, like you said, some light injuries, some little mistakes you want to work on, like arguably now was the time to have those come up, right? Like you got to live your Olympic dream. You made that semifinal. You broke Canadian records on the way to getting to that team. Like when you look at last year, it really is kind of those storybook years that we all dream about in sport. And then this year, you're still getting the job done. You're about to go to World Championships. There's still so much ahead of you. So I hope you have a lot of pride in knowing that this is just the beginning and your journey is very, very far from being complete and that book is still open. I do want to talk quickly about trials, though. I never like to assume how athletes feel about a meet. And I know you just kind of teed it up a little bit, but tell me about overall your week in Victoria and how you felt about it.
On her back, very disappointed. It's I don't know. It was like a slip on the start, which is kind of like I don't know. Scott was saying like a 1 in 100. You'll slip chances or whatever. But yeah, 100 back. A second off my best at finals. Just missed the team, but also very happy for Cole to be able to requalify after such like a challenging couple years for him. So really happy for him. But then 50 back, a best time, so can't be mad with that. Also haven't really done the 50 back suited ever before, or like shaved tapered, so hopefully now that I can start training that a little bit more, I'll be able to crack under that 25, maybe sneak out that Canadian record and stuff. But yeah, and then honestly I was pretty happy with the 2 back. Like that's my second best ever time. Ethan had a great race in that. He just got me there. I didn't really see him, but tip my hat to him. And then also that's that competitiveness and stuff. He takes the record. Maybe I'll take it back. He can take it again. Stuff like that. And then yeah, the 50 fly at the end was pretty fun.
Yeah, and we'll get to that 50 fly because I have a lot of comments. And I do love your shout out to Ethan. I was actually going to ask you a little bit about that, and you answered that perfectly. But I was wondering, sometimes when you're in the same heat as someone that breaks a Canadian record that you previously held, there can be the initial disappointment, but then there's also a little bit of, records are meant to be broken. We're breaking barriers in this sport. We're continuing to push towards new and better things. I did notice on the podium too, you gave them a little extra nudge, like a high five of like, congratulations. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of like, I guess like tip my hat to you because it's not easy to watch somebody take your record in the moment, but it looked like you were pretty you had a good head on your shoulders in that moment.
Yeah, like I said, I was happy with that time, like 0.3 off my best and like second best ever. So yeah, I was happy with that. He got the victory there. We'll see how he's prepping into Worlds and stuff, and we'll see who comes out on top at Worlds. But yeah, he can have it for now, we'll say.
I love it. The competitive fire, whether it's on the golf course or in the tour and back, it's always present. I do want to ask about the 50 and the 2 because, this doesn't happen often. So now you're going into a meet and you're preparing. You're preparing for both ends of the spectrum, right? The 50 back, which is less, like you said, than about 25 seconds, to a race that's a bit around 2 minutes, just under. So I wondered, does your preparation for the meet now change, or are you kind of going about things, the way they work best for you?
I think that the training is probably going to remain quite similar to what I had been doing. Um, maybe a little bit more focused on like the 50, just because I hadn't really practiced like swimming at like kind of those higher stroke rates. Like I think I was like 62 rate in that 50 back or something. So yeah, I have to get used to holding water at that, or maybe bring the stroke rate down and stuff. But hopefully I could. I don't know. I'm available for those relays, like the mixed and the men's relay. So I might get to swim 100 backstroke at the meet still. So kind of still training, like you said, like training for the 50 and the 200. It's pretty weird. So it's kind of like I'm training for 100. At the same time, I'm not going to race the 100 so individually. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's really important as like a reminder too, is that everyone qualifies for events at a trials, but all the relays, no matter if you won the event or you came seventh in the event, like once a team is made, it's up to everyone to prove their value as a spot on the relay. And so you'll be continuously training and kind of going head to head with some of your biggest competitors to try to get that spot on the relay, and nothing's guaranteed. So it's great to hear that you're going to kind of keep that 100 fresh, and you're making yourself available. I love that. You keep making yourself available, Blake. It's great. Quickly, because this is your first kind of long course, I'm calling it best on best worlds, because I know you did. I don't want to discredit going to 2024 worlds in Doha, but we know that some of the biggest names in swimming were not there. So knowing this is kind of the real deal long course world championships, what are some of your goals going into Singapore?
That's a good question. Like you said, this is my first summer world championships, we'll call it. And, I think if I could come out with a better result than I had at Paris, I'd be very happy with it. At the same time, I always want to go a best time. So if I can go some best times, that'd be nice as well. Yeah. But, I have some goals with Scott and stuff, but I think I kind of want to keep those like a little between me and him, and not kind of send them out to the world just for a personal thing. But yeah, we'll just say best times and probably better than Paris.
I totally respect that answer. I never like to speak goals into existence. So
Yeah.
I am very with you in that. Well, we'll be rooting for you in whatever those goals may be. Just a quick comment, if possible, on your perspective on this men's program in Canada. We've talked a lot over the years about the women, but I'd love to give a little bit of and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to chat with you and to continue to tell the stories within the men's team. What makes this men's team in the program right now so exciting, and does it feel extra special to be a part of it right now?
I think it definitely is a special group of guys we have right now. Like, and even like the young talent we have too, like a lot of like Ethan, I'd say was one of the next guys up, but kind of this like the Paris group and the guys that have kind of been on the national team for a while now. I think they're really starting to kind of get into the swing of it, and I'm really excited to see what they can do this summer, and then also like leading up to LA. I think we're trying to give that women's team a little bit of a run for the money. I mean, it's tough with summer. There's 3 golds we have to kind of try and compensate there, but yeah, we're trying our best to kind of compete with the women's side.
I love it. You guys keep making new strides. And I loved, by the way, you posted on social for Olympic Day yesterday, your video of Ilya and his medal right after winning it at the Olympics. Iconic. If you're not already following Blake, make sure you're doing so, and we will make sure that you have access to his account, I promise. I wanted to talk about today's hot topic, which is something a little bit special to you, and it is your 50 fly at trials, the Mark Spitz 50 fly. This is something that I know isn't the first time it's come up for you, because we were going through your socials and you've been doing this for quite some time. So I wondered if you can give me the background into what inspired you to take this on.
Yeah, basically, I think I started my first one was at Canada Open. Yeah, that's a photo of me there practicing at a training camp in San Diego. But yeah, my first time was at Canada Open. I was kind of like, bro, I got the hair for it. I didn't have the mustache because I've been shaving and stuff, but and I didn't really have enough time to grow it out before trials. But yeah, I kind of had the hair for it, so I was like, you know what, let's just go for it. Let's see if we could beat Mark Spitz best time, gold medal time and stuff in the Olympics 50 fly, and then I just missed it. But then I tried it again at Zajac, missed it again. So I figured I'd probably need the shave taper for it. And then, yeah, so in the pre-limit trials, I actually did it with a suit, cap, and goggles. And went
because you had to qualify for the final.
Yeah, I had to qualify it. And then somehow I went faster at night with no cap and goggles. So I don't know. I was telling Scott maybe I should do 100 back, no cap, no goggles, and see if I go 52 and stuff. But I don't know.
It really is so fun. And for anybody that doesn't know, by the way, it means the Spitz 50 fly, no cap, no goggles. You have to do the 2-foot start. So basically like no track start, we call it. So you can't use the wedge. You got to go 2 feet. You're in a Speedo or a brief, as some of the cool kids call it. And then ideally you have a mustache. But like you said, you were shaved down for the meet. So I was wondering if you were going to figure out a way to grow a mustache in 2 days.
Yeah. Definitely moving forward. I didn't do the 2-foot start. And people kind of giving me stuff for it. But, I'd never practiced that before. And, maybe next year, now that I've kind of got it, we'll say, I'll have to grow the mustache and do the 2-foot start next year, shave tapered. So, yeah.
And we showed a little video there while you were talking about it. You did, in fact, get faster or go faster than his initial time, correct?
Yeah. Okay. I think his best was like 25.3.
Okay, and, so he hit the goal.
Like 25. Yeah.
It is pretty impressive, though, for Spitz to do that back in the 70s. Like, you think about how much the sport has evolved, and you're just like I was reading one of his quotes about how it actually came to be for him. And he genuinely said that, like, the mustache was grown because one of his college coaches basically told him that he wasn't capable of growing a mustache. And so he said, challenge accepted, which I first just love. And then secondly, he basically kept it on because so many people were talking about it. And he said, like, I have every intention of shaving it off, but if everyone's going to talk about it and I feel good in the water with it, then why wouldn't I keep it?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Kudos to him, man.
I want to know, is there anything about Spitz other than the appearance that inspires you and allows you to want to be a better swimmer?
I mean, I think Spitz, like, I don't really know his career too much, but like, I think he's probably up there for like number 2 all time, but behind Phelps. So yeah, I mean, just like kind of the greatness he kind of achieved in swimming, that's very admirable. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever get to his level maybe, but I can certainly try to strive for it.
We can all try to strive for it, even those that aren't even swimming anymore. Look at me go. I'm like, yes, we can all do this. 1972, by the way, 7 gold medals for Spitz, and all of them were in world record time, which is just crazy. The only one that's since done that is, like you said, Michael Phelps. Before we let you go, which, by the way, I've had so much fun chatting, we're going to do a no cap as we end all of our episodes. So this is No Cap with Blake Tierney. And today's question, I know you've done a no cap with me once or twice, but I tried to make them pretty specific to you. So, okay, here we go. Okay. Now that you've experienced racing without both, I want to know, in a situation where you're in a final at World Championships, would you rather lose your cap or have your goggles fall off?
I'd probably say goggles fall off just because I think the hair would really slow me down in a world's final and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think if I had a haircut, probably the cap. But yeah, kind of when you can't see, I don't know. I think I trained it a little bit so my eyes are kind of adapting and stuff. So I think I could get away with the no goggles.
Yeah, I was trying to throw this around the office for a few minutes actually yesterday. And I said, like, the thing with when you lose your goggles or they fill up with water, you at least have like a little bit of vision. But when your cap is off, like, you're just like free flowing in the water. And somebody with the curls like you do, I think that's at least like half a second. Or it would just throw you off that you just feel so like all over the place. Have you ever had a cap fall off in the middle of a race?
Maybe when I was like an age grouper doing distance, but yeah, probably not recently.
Okay, well, Blake, it's been so much fun. Thank you for your time today. We are wishing you all the best this summer at World Championships. Of course, in Singapore, Devin Haru will be on the ground there. We'll be covering it from here in Toronto as well. So thanks for your time, and we look forward to watching what you're up to this summer.
All right, thank you so much, Brittany. I had a great time.
Bye, everyone. Thanks,